Okay, so this is just a quick video to hopefully help you out if, like me, you've been having difficulty balancing this camera lens and gimbal combination. So it's the Canon EOS R camera body with the RF 24-70 2.8 lens and the Zhiyun Weebill S gimbal. When I first got the gimbal, I really struggled to get this camera lens to balance properly on it. Having looked at the Zhiyun website, since then it's not actually listed as a combination that is compatible with the gimbal, so I probably should have done a bit more research before getting it, but there we go. So basically this is the kind of setup and the settings that I've arrived at that work for me. So if you're using this same body, lens, gimbal, and you've got it working and balancing fine some other way, then by all means do let me know, because that would be really helpful. But yeah, this is the way that I've kind of managed to get it to work. Obviously it's quite a big heavy lens for a mid-range zoom, combined with a sort of a mirrorless body, it makes it very front heavy. So, and also with the EOS R, the eyepiece sticks out quite far at the back, so that's when you balance the camera and on the gimbal, you need to get it quite far back to allow for the weight of the lens, but then that means that the eyepiece is generally knocking into this motor at the back here. So that's the main issue. As soon as you get the camera in the right position, it's then not free to move. If you move it further forward, it's too front heavy. So I've got a combination of two things that I've found have worked for me. Firstly, there's the Manfrotto quick release plate, which I've mounted onto the Zhiyun plate that comes with it. Lots of people are using this quick release plate with gimbals. It's obviously convenient as a quick release plate in the first place. It also adds a nice bit of height. So for a chunkier lens like this, you need a bit of a riser just to get the lens away. There's a riser plate that comes with the gimbal, but that doesn't have much weight to it. So the Manfrotto quick release plate not only adds that bit of height, but it also adds a bit of weight, which is good at the rear of the setup. And then I've got a SmallRig counterweight to add even more weight at the back. So this is one of a pack of two 100-gram weights from SmallRig. Really easy, just screws on the bottom of this bracket, which attaches to the bottom of the plate. And that, for me, has been sufficient. I tried with just the counterweight first of all, before using the Manfrotto plate, and couldn't get it to sit right, couldn't get it to balance correctly. But the combination of the Manfrotto plate, I think it's the 323, and the SmallRig 100-gram weight has, for me, worked. As I say, if you've figured out another way of doing it, then do let me know, because it may be that I'm overthinking it. But yeah, it balances fine in the horizontal position. This is at the 24mm end of the zoom range. So I know obviously with the zoom lens, ideally you would balance it in the middle of the zoom range. But when I'm shooting video with this lens, I'm generally at a wider end anyway. So kind of want it to balance around the 24 to 35mm end of the focal length range. So if you did go longer than 35, then it's going to fall forwards. But I mean, the motors are fine to pick it up. It's just worth bearing in mind you'll probably struggle to balance this lens any further than about 35mm. But as I say, for video, I'm generally at that sort of 24 to 35mm focal length anyway. So yeah, that's how I've got it to work. The plate, as I said, is the Manfrotto, I think 323. That's on there, and the SmallRig weight underneath. If we just slot the camera in there, lock it off, if we power up the gimbal, you'll see hopefully it should be vibration free. So it picks up fine in pan follow mode. And then if we do a quick auto tune, just sort of judders away for a few seconds while it calibrates the motors. Okay, that's all looking good. It says OK on the back. so that's fine. And then as you can see, it's not vibrating around, it's not making any noise. Picking it up, there's complete clearance here between the eyepiece and the motor at the back. There's also clearance between the counterweight and the motor at the back, so that's all fine. The only thing to bear in mind with this camera and lens combination is obviously it's a fairly heavy lens, and then you're adding more weight to the back using the counterweights and the Manfrotto plate, so it does result in a fairly sort of heavy, chunky setup. I certainly wouldn't want to be holding this out in front of me for long periods of time, but depending on how you work and how you shoot, it's generally fine. I often would be in this position with it anyway, so that's kind of less of a strain in terms of weight. So yeah, that's how I've got it to work. A good test is always then when you switch the gimbal off, does it stay in place? So let's see. Okay, so slight forward movement there, but that's all off now, and it stayed pretty much balanced. So yeah, that's fine. So that's the EOS R with the RF 24 to 70mm lens on the Zhiyun Weebill S with the Manfrotto 323, I think, quick release plate, and 100g SmallRig counterweight. In the description I'll put the measurements and stuff that I'm using on the axis to get it to balance. But yeah, hope that's been of some help. Thanks for watching.